Hello, hello, my Let's Keep It Real people. I know it's been a while, but you get it. 'Tis the season to be jolly. I love the holidays, and I wanted to make sure you really listened to my next guest. And everyone said to me, Weston, the month of December is iffy. So that's why I haven't put that many Let's Keep It Reals out. And I waited to January to have Rand on. Yay! How are you, Rand?
Hey, great to be with you again, Sandy. You always make me like your middle name, Joy.
Well, at least to the outside world. You can ask my family on any given day which one we getting. We getting the joy one or like, but anyhow, Rand Selig, I love that. He kept saying it for me, Selig, because it's not spelled that way, but it's still easy to say. How are you? What do you do for the holidays? I know you live out in the San Francisco area, but what do you guys do for the holidays?
Well, I got to tell you, it's been an amazing year for me and for my family. So it's going to be a big quiet time. We've done a lot of traveling this year, and we've got a lot of things planned for next year. So yeah, we will get together with our kids just for a day. And otherwise, my wife and I are going to be putting jigsaw puzzles together and watching old movies and probably snacking on some stuff that we should push ourselves away from, but that's
Yeah.
okay. And just kind of relax. And I like to at this time of year uh, take a check on what the year has been all about. So I keep regular notes of what's going on in my life.
Yeah.
So I'll be reviewing all those, and I'll be presenting on New Year's weekend the report to my wife. How many times did we go out for dinner? How many plays did we go to? What trips
Oh
did we
my God.
take? How many times did we visit,
Stop it.
our daughter? And it's so rich. It's so valuable. She had joked with me a few years ago. She said, "We never go out to dinner." I said, "Oh, yeah?" And I pulled out my list, and she said, "Whoops, I can't use that one anymore." So it's good. And I also do a whole big dive into a plan for the next year. So 2025 is going to be a great year in so many ways. And I'm driving my own bus. So,
I don't doubt it. Well, wait. All right, so let's back up there. There's so much to unpack just there. Number one, everyone's like, "Can I do that for the holidays?" Do you know how many people wish they were just doing
yes,
jigsaw puzzles, kicking
yes.
up their feet by the fire or hanging out, not running around like a crazy person? This is the ideal holiday. That's number one. Number two, when you said you reflect upon things, I thought you were going to tell me you journal and then you spend time with yourself. But the year I wasn't counting on the presentation to your wife about how you spent the year, which I think can both be gratifying and also, oh crap, I spent money on that. I could see me doing that.
Well, I've been doing this for many, many years. And this last year, I added something new to my list. It's about a dozen different categories. But one of the things I have on the list is the best decisions I've made this past year. And that is really cool. Now, they're not bad
Now, I
decisions.
would like that. I would like
I know.
that.
Yeah, yeah, the best decisions I made, last night I was sort of dreaming, thinking about that, and I think I know what they are already. So I don't have to do many note taking, review my notes to get that clear in my mind.
Okay, we're going to come back to that. I want to read your bio first, but I want to come back to the best decision thing. Is that okay with you?
Absolutely.
All right. Let me tell you just a teeny bit about Rand. Rand Selig, an accomplished entrepreneur, which you can tell, coach, I did not know, scoutmaster, board member, and roll up your sleeves convert. This, by the way, I was reading this and I keep cracking up because I want you to write my bio.
Thank you.
And a roll up your sleeves conservationist. I love that. Share, which I have, that's like a whole nother podcast, shares his extensive expertise in this book with an MBA from Stanford, an undergrad degree in mathematics. Oh my gosh. Math, there's so much here. And let's start again, Weston. With an MBA from Stanford and undergraduate degrees in mathematics and psychology, he excels at managing, of course he does, complex projects globally. He is relentlessly positive. We hate that here. And believes he can design his own life, bus driver, and others can too. Based in Mill Valley, California, which is not far from San Francisco, but far from LA, he enjoys his life's adventures with his wife of 43 years. You can read more. We'll put all the stuff there at randselig.com. Okay, Rand, what's the name of your book?
Thank you. Thank you, Sandy. It's called Thriving. Thriving. How to create a healthier, happier, and more prosperous life.
Okay. All right. So we're going to come back to that. I want to jump right into the best decisions you made because I have lots of questions here for you. And peeps, like I said, I'll try to get to a few, but we got to keep it short so you can reach out to Rand separately. But from my list here, you mentioned you make a list of the best decisions you've made for the year. And what people, well-meaning people, self-seeking people, amazing people, these are people that want to be a better human being every day. Like I just attract those kind of people. They want to do better. They own it, what they've done, what they haven't done. Their biggest thing I keep getting over and over again, and we're going to go with, we'll make up a name, Billy Bob's. I like this. Okay, Weston, calls me Weston. I know you're going to tell me I've done a lot of great things this year. Yeah, I have. But I still can't get the things that didn't go so well. I know you'll tell me I'm not a failure. I'm not a failure. But man, if I made some bad decisions. Okay, let's call them big, fat, the F word, failures. I know it's separate from me. But the list is long on decisions. I go, what was I thinking? I put so much time and energy in things and they didn't work out the way I wanted to. Now, that being said, there are other things that have, but it just seems I can't get the things that didn't go well pushed away far enough. Maybe you and Rand could help. I thought that was awesome.
Wow. Wow. Bravo. Bravo.
And he
Put
is
up.
58 and a very successful entrepreneur. But I got a lot of questions like that, not just from Billy
Yeah.
Bob.
Yeah. 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 Well, bravo on Billy Bob to put that out there because um, he's acknowledging that he needs to push away from some of these things that didn't go well. And I just want to support that idea. You can't just sort of ignore them. You can't just make them go as if they never happened. What you have to do, I think, is get on top of them and dissect them and take the time to say, what really went on? Where did I go off track? Who was contributing to my lack of fulfillment or success? And just spend the time. To me, you have to journal it. I have to break it down to pieces because it's always multiple parts. And then I can say, okay, now I understand it better. And now I'm going to say, okay, I didn't do this well. I'm going to forgive myself. I'm going to turn it into a teaching moment, though. I'm going to learn from that so I don't do it again. And so I can be that better person next time around. And I think, just that process, I've just described it pretty simply, but that's a deep process. And there could be 1, there could be 10 items that are on your, okay, we're saying goodbye to 2024. What's on that list that I am going to say goodbye to with happiness and say, the new me showing up is not going to be that person.
Yeah, I like that. I'm a big journaler. And when I keep journaling, I go deeper and deeper to get to the other side. But I do understand Billy Bob's perspective because it's something even I work on every single day, Rand. I could go and do a project or a workshop with someone, and they could show up just with 1/10 of what they're supposed to be, right?
Yes.
And yet I didn't do what I thought I should do. I will underplay what they did and beat myself up like, oh, I should have done this. I could have done this. I should have gotten this. Why didn't I do this? Why didn't I do this? And every day I have to go, whoa, give yourself grace. Because I don't know what it is, and my peeps are saying the same thing. I have an easier time forgiving someone else, seeing why they did what they did, understanding their business decision. But when it comes to myself, I put myself way up there of what I expect of myself. And when I don't reach it, it's a lot of journaling pages, Rand. It's a lot of journaling pages.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know if
Well,
you experience that, but it seems like, wait a minute, I should have this down, but I don't. I work on it every day. I spend
yeah.
too much of my, or not too much, but you know what I mean? Like always thinking, did I fall short? What else could I have done? What do you think?
Well, I've gotten to know you a little bit, Sandy, and I know you have very, very high standards, and that we have that in common. And having high standards is a fabulous thing. Well, one of my legacies I'm leaving behind is the legacy of excellence. And but but I have to be kind to myself because sometimes I really can push to the edge of the envelope, and I'm a warrior, as I think you are too. And sometimes that how many times do I push the edge of the envelope? Oh my gosh, come on, give yourself a little bit of break. And it helps me again with all my looking at what the past year has been and looking at who I am. And that's covered in the book, not a personal story, but all the different elements that makes up a life that's very fulfilling. And I can say, wow, wow, come on, buddy, don't hurt yourself twisting your arm to pat yourself in the back, but you're doing a good job. And it
Yeah.
helps me also that I have several friends. I'm cultivating more people who are willing to say, Rand, you are amazing. I'm so glad to know you. I appreciate you. I love you. And not everybody can say that. And not everybody can even think that. So I'm cultivating those people because I need that. I have
Yeah.
to admit
Yeah.
that I do need that support.
Everyone needs that. Everyone needs
Yes,
that.
yes,
Everyone
it's
needs that.
true.
Everyone needs that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I do like that you do the best decisions you made that year because it does go, well, wait a minute. I did some good things here.
Yeah.
It balances out
Yeah. Yeah. So, would you like to hear my initial take on this? Now, this is, here we are. I've got still 10 days left in the year to, really pull it together. But I'll give you my top three right now. And there may be a
of
couple of.
course I want to hear. Are you kidding? I love
Okay.
All right,
Okay.
go ahead.
Well, one is that it felt initially kind of a little selfish to me, and I'm not that kind of person, but I doubled down on taking care of myself physically. Now, I've been a runner for 30 some years. I play tennis, I'm hiking, but I really needed to, given my age and everything, get a lot stronger upper body strength,
Ah,
more core strength. And that meant going to the gym. And I actually, for the very first time, hired a trainer. Oh my gosh, I'm worth it. Okay. I'm,
I'm worth
I'm
it. I'm worth it.
I'm gonna I'm gonna pay for it, and I'm gonna take notes so that I don't need them every time. I can see them, once every couple of weeks to refresh and make sure my form is right and that kind of stuff. But I doubled down, and I gotta say, the it's so obvious what the difference is. My posture, my strength, my stamina, which had always been good. But now
Yeah.
is, I'm getting up earlier, I'm energized, mood, dealing with stress because, I've had a year that's had plenty of challenges. Health is number one. And
Yeah.
I'm going to do it right here on the show. I'm patting myself on the back. I invested in myself. Number two,
Wait,
is
we got to stay there with the
okay,
one. Hold on. Hold on.
okay, okay.
When you feel well mentally and physically, it's not every freaking person benefits. Every freaking person. And there isn't a person on earth who doesn't feel better mentally when they move. It's impossible. It's science. Like when you move, Even if you went out and took a walk for 10 minutes, you would come back and feel different, you know? And as far as the trainer, I know people say, well, I know what to do. Well, sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. And sometimes the trainers can add to your program of things that you wouldn't ever think of. And they have a great trainer will have way more knowledge of your specific, situation. But in addition to that, let's say you're someone that doesn't have any extreme situations, but just doesn't go to the gym and can afford a trainer, then even just being held accountable, it's worth the money. If you're not going to do it, then
Yeah.
you need either a friend or a trainer, somebody helping you out in addition to their knowledge. So I'm so excited about that. And I'm a firm believer that no matter what the movement is, do something that you enjoy and that you look forward to, because then you're more likely going to stick to it. So I did not tell him to say that, did I? Did I, Rand? No. They're going to think I put you up to it, but I did it.
I love it. I love it all.
All right, number 2.
Number 2, I have spent countless hours joyfully with my book, talking. I think, Sandy, this might be my 59th or 60th. I've got to go back to my records. Of course, I'm keeping records of podcasts. And then I've done, I don't know, close to 20 in-person talks. I spoke about a month ago to 11,000 teachers about personal finance, which is I'm so excited about, and I know something about. Uh, and it is enriching. It is stimulating. I'm giving the message of encouragement and inspiration as much as I can, and I'm getting rewarded for that. That's not why I'm doing it, but the feedback loop is very, very clear to me. And
Yeah.
people are saying when I go on a podcast, they say the time went by too fast, way too fast. Usually we go 30 minutes, and now we're at 45, and we want you back. I've had that experience at least half the time. And that's me, because people have lots of choices. So I appreciate that very much. There's a chance I'll be on PBS next year, and that's a big audience. And so
it's a huge audience.
I'm very excited about this. And I'll be working on my audiobook early next year, and doing some keynotes, which Sandy, I know you know a lot about, and I'll be probably checking in with you and getting some more tips and advice. There's all kinds of things that I'm excited about doing going forward. But the book this year has just, I was on a plane going to Washington, D.C., and sat next to this really great guy. And we chatted for, I don't know, half the plane ride. And he's getting married soon and so on. Well, I get an email from his fiance saying, Chris loved meeting you. We want your book. Is there any way?
God, I love it.
Can you sign it? And I said, it'd be my pleasure. Give me your address. And so tomorrow I'm sending the book to them. And of course, she's a lovely person. She said, let me know, Venmo, I'll pay you.
Yeah.
I'm going to say, no, how you can support me is write a review. Give a copy of the book to friends, family, coworkers, and also look around. Is there places that you'd like to invite me to speak? The bigger the better. And if it's small and it's a living room, totally cool.
Oh my God. So basically, you're really enjoying retirement.
Well, I don't use the word retirement. I use rewirement. And I have moved from my company, which, by the way, this last year was named the best sustainable investment banking firm in the San Francisco Bay Area. Wow. By Wealth and Finance International. That's not a minor thing. I feel very, very
oh my gosh
happy about that. So, but I'm moving to the wisdom part of that business instead of doing very complicated transactions and coordinating with the lawyers and the accountants and doing all that. I'm doing the wisdom. I'm spending 2 hours that it would otherwise take me maybe 2 weeks to do. So, but the primary focus for sure is the book.
Yeah. Do we have a three?
And number three, I hope I can say this with some humility, especially after everything else I've said. But my whole gig these days is just being the kind of person who's kind and respectful, who asks people questions. I ask their name. I want to hear their story. It's me being love. I'm sort of oozing love. I said that to some friends, and they almost gacked and fell off their chairs. My wife almost fell off her chair too. And I said, I'm just reporting what I'm seeing. I like being that person. And people are saying, "Can I give you a hug?" And I'm going, yes, yes, let's have a hug. Guys, women, men, we're in a new world, unlike earlier generations where guys would shake hands, and we've moved past that. And so
Oh yeah,
guys
they
are
have.
saying it's time for the hug. And I go, thank you. Yes, I want to give you one, and I'd love to have one back.
Like,
It's been great. It's been absolutely fantastic.
okay. So, Rand, I want to make sure that the viewers and or listeners are really taking this all in, and that they, besides getting your book, can walk away with some actionable items that, like, okay, I can apply this right away. You know what I mean? Like, I can think about this immediately. So the one thing that is coming to mind, first of all, is how you're really prioritizing your physical well-being. That, number one, you're making sure that you take time for it. And that's something they can take action and not feel guilty about investing in themselves. And so I love that. That's like the first thing that we talked about. The second thing I just want to make sure that I'm not putting words in your mouth, but I hear you saying it over and over again, and we're probably not going to do to the same level you are, but you really look at the year and what you've done and what you've accomplished, whether it's what you guys did or the decisions you made. You take it to heart, you review it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the piece that I was getting is in the things that you think that, okay, that didn't go well, or I wish I would have done that. You journal about it so you can learn from it and use it as a teaching tool versus beat yourself up about it. Even though most people here, we got a lot of type A personalities. They are perfectionist.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's a great summary, Sandy. Thank you. The A-type personality, I know that well. I was an A-type personality. I still drive my bus hard, but I know when to stop, and I know when to turn right and when to turn left, and when to invite new people on the bus, and actually when to invite some people off my bus. I'm prepared to do that. I have some courage, and I think life, you have to approach life recognizing that life is a series of experiments. And we know from whatever it is, seventh, eighth grade science class, some experiments work, very fortunately the first time. And sometimes they have to be tweaked and fiddled with, and then they work. And sometimes they don't work at all. That is what life is. It's a series of experiments. And life is filled with beginnings and endings, and in between are transitions. All of that takes courage. Life expands or contracts in proportion to how much courage you have. So, I fortunately have a lot of courage, and I get support to have people say, keep going, keep doing it. And that's terrific.
So do you think that you have more courage with age, or do you think you always had courage?
I think I've had courage all along, but it manifests itself in different ways, and I think the courage the courage I had earlier in my life was the courage to create something new, and take the risk of it not working or somebody not being satisfied with it. And now I think the courage shows up much more in an interpersonal way. I'm much more willing to engage with somebody about issues that I think are important to them, and that
Mhm.
I think I have something to share with them that could be of value. But that takes some courage to do that. It takes courage to stand up in front of a group of people and talk to them and then take questions.
Yeah,
And
the question's
people
fun.
people are not bashful, and they say, look, I read your book already, or I heard what you just had to say, and I don't understand how you could say that because of X, Y, or Z.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I'm there. Yeah, I might have some pants and a shirt on, but I'm basically naked.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You know, I was thinking about the other day because someone did ask me about what courage means to me and why I've had so much courage throughout my life. And part of it is I felt as if I had no choice. It was either I had to have a lot of courage to get out of my situation. But with later life, I think for me, the biggest thing is, and I don't think it's egotistical, is I really don't just like who I am, I love myself. And
Uh,
because I love myself, I really love myself with everything, not because I'm perfect. It allows me to have more courage to stand up and do things that I normally wouldn't do because I really love myself. And I was actually guesting somebody else's podcast, and the guy says, you know, what's your secret? And I said, I really love myself. And the guy spit up his water, and I'm like, what do you mean? I go, I really do. I love who I am. I love how I show up in the world. I admit when I'm wrong. I try to do better. And I think that allows me to take more risks. So I don't
well,
know how you feel about
I I say in my book that the most important relationship we'll ever have is the one with ourselves. And a lot of people skip over that. And to get to the place where you are, Sandy, where I am too, where you love yourself, and you're not skipping over the bruises and the dings
that.
and the part,
Mm-mm.
and you're not comparing yourself to somebody else. You're comparing yourself to your former self,
Yep.
and you're
Yep.
saying, I am on the road to being the better person tomorrow and the best person I can be. I think courage, let me add one more thing about courage. I think it resonates with so many people I'm talking to. The courage to define success your way. Our world is filled with all these messages of success is financial.
Mm.
Success is, measured in certain very, monetary ways. And I think most people know that's just one facet. And it may not even be, and is not actually, in my opinion, the most important facet. It's more about the relationships. That's on my list too, but for the year, I say, who were the people that mattered most to me this year? Who showed up for me? How did I support them? Um, who was missing? Who was MIA? How do I feel about that? Who showed up this year for the first time? Who's a new person, a new friend now? I just met a new friend, and he quoted the last line from Casablanca. He said, "This is the beginning of a beautiful relationship." And I said,
Aw.
"Oh my gosh, he's so right. Oh, this is so we're both so excited about the possibilities of, second, third, 20th visits together and talking and sharing and
Yeah.
being open with each other about stuff." So the courage to define success your way, which includes a whole portfolio of things. Yes, financial's in there, but what about the relationships? What about your physical self? What about your emotional self? What about your spiritual self? All these elements that add to, and everybody should think about what those elements are, and then say, where am I? How am I doing? Am I giving myself an A? Am I giving myself a D? Let's be frank. And what am I going to do about that? It's my life.
And it's much easier if you really love yourself to get a D.
So right.
right?
So
Because,
right. Yes.
all right, so lifelong learner, one of my favorite things. I want to make sure we get it in because before we wrap up, because I I just heard somebody else saying, and it's so true. The more you seek knowledge, the more you learn. Realize you don't really know that much, meaning you're just scratching the surface. There's so much more to learn about every single subject. And I find that fascinating.
Yeah. Well, I like to think of being the lifelong learner in the way you said, but also just the innate quality of being curious,
Yeah. Oh, I like that. Yeah.
right? So that you're looking at something. It could be from the natural world, it could be man-made, human-made, and you're saying, how did that happen? How did that person make that beautiful piece of art? How did Mother Nature come along and make this amazing bug? Where does the bug live when
Yeah.
it's not flying around? I'm curious. When you meet a new person, boy, if you want to develop more really good relationships, be curious, ask them questions and listen hard. And then ask them a next question and a third question, not like you're interrogating them. And you don't need to tell your story. When they're ready, they'll start asking you questions. But in the meanwhile, you're just curious about them. And
Yeah.
the curiosity makes life so much more fun. And it also, as a bonus, is a really great tool in conflict resolution. And you just imagine you're sitting there with somebody, you maybe know them pretty well, and they say something, you go to yourself, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Wow, this I thought this person was cool, and now I'm beginning to doubt that. And instead of thinking all these negative thoughts, you say, "Oh, I'm curious." You can use that word. I'm curious. How did you get to think that way? What led to that? And then you hear them, and you ask a couple more questions just to clarify. It doesn't mean you're going to change your view. It doesn't mean you're going to change your
Nope.
opinion, but you could make all the difference in the world whether you're going to keep on as friends with them. Because otherwise, you could go into battle and lose the friendship, to lose the relationship.
Yeah. And I love that. I love the way you said that because it's true. If you did a little bit more digging, you might go, oh, okay. Now I understand why you said what you did
Yeah.
versus just like, that's just the dumbest thing I ever heard.
Yeah.
Which sometimes you can like say to your close friends, like, what are you thinking? But I like this. And I've heard that before, even when someone's speaking or is a podcast guest, that the best listeners is because they're curious. They want to learn more. They want to understand more. They want to go deeper.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about, I want to finish up with this. What you do to stay emotionally healthy. Now, you've covered it in some of the things, but I just really want you to sum it up because it's really important how you feel emotionally because how you look at the situation is everything.
So thank you, Sandy. It's a great way to end our conversation today. I hope we'll have more. It's a great way to end the year and begin a new year. The Descartes, the great mathematician, said, "I think, therefore I am." In my book, I say, no. Descartes' not right. It's I feel, therefore I am. And so being emotional healthy is really a key to everything. And so I say there's three big parts of this.
Okay.
One is for those people who say they can't and they're not going to even try, that's called self sabotaging. Don't do it. Just catch yourself, pay attention to yourself. If you're doing that, stop doing it. I knew this when I was in college and was a math tutor, and kids would come in and students would come in, and within 1 minute, they would say, I'm not good at math. And so we'd work together. And I got to the point where they could solve the problem themselves. And they say, math is fun. I like it. So this is
That's
this is the
awesome.
perfect example, right? Don't self-sabotage. Number two, we talked about this already, but forgiving. You got to forgive yourself. You got to be honest. Nobody else is looking at what you write in your journal. You got to be honest. What did you do that was not the best self? What mistakes did you make? You need to rectify that. You need to forgive yourself and move on. And then the third, and forgive other people too. And even if they're not on the planet, you still can write them a letter. You can, if they're not in your life anymore, you still write a letter. You don't send it, but you say, look, here's what happened. It made me feel this way, or I felt this way because of the situation. And I think you owed me an apology. I didn't get it, but I'm forgiving you now. And you, but basically taking this heavy rock out of your backpack, saying, I'm not carrying that around anymore. No need, no need. I'm done with that. So the forgiving is a huge thing. And it sort of compounds, I think, over time. If you have something in your 30s and you carry it forward in your 50s and 70s and later, oh my God, that it almost as if the rock gets heavier. Don't do that. Forgive yourself, forgive others.
Don't do that. Okay. No.
And then the third thing is letting go. And of these three, this was the hardest for me because so much of my life has been, I've been in control. I thought I was in control. It mattered a lot to me to organize and to make things happen according to my view of the world and my standards. And what I realized, thanks to my adult children who are both fabulous, is there are a lot of things that I wasn't controlling. So what I do control, and I'm very aware of this, I control my attitude. I control how much effort I'm going to put into something. I control my behavior, and then I control my actions. Those are in my daily life. Those are for me. But that's the inner circle. As soon as I go to somebody else, even one more person, and certainly the natural world, I'm not in control of that. Let me be honest. Let me be humble about it. And so being aware of this idea, and I do a little exercise, Sandy. We can do it together if you like. I hold on to something. I'm holding on to something I wish I could let go of. So I hold up my fist. There it is. I'm holding on to this thing. I say, I wish I could let go of that. I see my knuckles. You look at your knuckles. If you're holding high, you see them. They're like white knuckles, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so then I turn my fist over. I see the white knuckles. I say to myself, I wish I could let go of that. And then I joke, maybe because I read Rand's book, I have power. I can make choices. And then you let go, you open your fingers, you open your thumb, and your hand rises almost automatically, and you're letting go of that thing that was weighing you down.
I
So
love it.
do this exercise. I used to do it a lot, but I needed to do it a lot. And now, maybe because I'm a little more humble or whatever, I don't have to do it as often. But when I do it, it makes me smile and laugh.
I love that. Yeah, because it's very visual. And I like writing things down, but I also like visuals. I
Yeah.
love
Yeah. It's a
white
physical.
knuckles.
Yeah. White knuckles.
See you later. All right, Rand, before we go, I'll get your information, but what's one word that you can pick that best describes your past 30 days and why'd you pick it? Whatever pops into your head. One word.
Grateful. Yeah, I just was at Arlington National Cemetery burying my father. And he was a towering figure. I mean, I had a very complicated relationship with him. It's kind of like old bull and new bull thing. But as soon as I got the phone call that he had passed away, wave after wave of gratitude. And it's been a ferocious cycle because being the trustee and organizing a celebration of life and this beautiful, fantastic funeral at Arlington National Cemetery, just who he was, what he meant to me and so many other people. Just so much gratitude, so much gratitude. He created, he gave me so many gifts and different ones from my mother. They provided a foundation for the person I am and the life I've been able to create for myself. And I'm just very grateful.
I love that. All right, my let's keep it real people. As Rand predicted, you're going to be like, what? Time is up? Bring that dude back. But before we go, Rand, where can they find you? Where can they get your book? How can they reach out? What's the best way?
So probably the easiest is just go to my book website, www.randselig.com, RANDSELIG.com. There's one of the pages on the book website is a connect with Rand. So you can check in, say hello, ask me a question, say, hey, I appreciate this, or you didn't agree with that. Yeah, or invite me. You can also invite me to be with your group of whatever shape and size that is. That'd be great. Also, a lot of information on my Amazon author page, and a lot of information on my LinkedIn page.
All right, cool. Come on. You want to share this episode. There's so many people that would benefit from it. I love you guys. I appreciate your support. The new year is going to be off the charts for us. 2025, man. It's going to be incredible. I send so much joy your way. Thank you so much, Rand. And you know what I'm going to say. Until next time, toodles and bye, Rand.
Thanks, Sandy. I love you.
Love you too.